Today we're going to be taking a look at ReoLink's new 2K video doorbell. Hi, I'm Ryan with This Smart House. If you're new here, welcome. I do overviews, projects, and more on smart home products. Now I've already reviewed quite a few different doorbells on this channel, including battery-powered ones, 2K video ones, and even a combination lock and doorbell. But today, let's take a look at one that's more of a security camera than it is a doorbell. What I mean is it's more like a security camera in that you can record 24/7, either on board or with an NVR, and connect it to other applications such as Home Assistant or Frigate. This doorbell also has onboard person detection, so you can limit the number of notifications that you receive on your phone. All this without requiring any cloud subscription. So this should make all of my viewers that want a local-only solution happy, while also providing quite a few options for those of you who don't want or have local recording. Sound good? Then let's take a closer look. So there are actually two versions of this doorbell available. One that receives both power and data via power over Ethernet. That version's been out for a few months now. At the same time, ReoLink also announced the Wi-Fi version. It was delayed for a few extra weeks and then due to some stock issues has just come back on the market. Now fundamentally, they're the same doorbell, with a couple of changes on how you connect them. The only major difference is the power over Ethernet version draws power and connectivity from a PoE switch or injector via the Ethernet port on the back. And the Wi-Fi version draws its power from a doorbell transformer or the included power adapters. Of course, only the Wi-Fi version can be connected via Wi-Fi, hence the name. But both versions do have an Ethernet connection available. So really, choosing between the two depends on your setup. And we'll talk about which version would work for you at the end of the video. But first, let's open the box and take a look at the main features of this video doorbell. Sorry, no slick camera trick today. But opening the box, the first thing that we're gonna see is the doorbell itself. Now this doorbell is equipped with a 5-megapixel sensor with a 2K resolution, which means you'll get a recording resolution of up to 2560 by 1920. This is presented in a 180-degree field of view diagonally, which is different than most cameras, but I find it gives you enough coverage on my front door area, but this of course will depend on where you install it at. Of course, it's equipped with black and white night vision powered by the built-in infrared emitters. There is no spotlight included, so black and white night vision is your only option. No color night vision is available. But you can see the infrared powered night vision is crisp and easy to see. Down below the camera, we have the button that will trigger the chime to let you know when someone is at your door. Now, unfortunately, this will not trigger the mechanical chime like the Ring Pro series does, but I don't think most people will mind. You will get a notification in the application, and the included chime will ring when the button is pressed. Around the button is an LED ring that will show you the status of the doorbell. And of course, there are microphones and a speaker so you can have a two-way conversation with your visitor, or yell at the neighborhood kids. It's no surprise that because this is an outdoor product that it's rated IP65 for dust and water resistance. It's also rated for temperatures between 14 degrees and 131 degrees Fahrenheit, -10 to 55 Celsius. This is a little surprising because it's not battery powered, so I'm wondering why it's not rated for lower temperatures. You'll see the power screws that let you attach either a doorbell transformer or the included power adapter. You do need to ensure that your doorbell transformer is outputting 12 to 24 volts AC in order for this to work. I'll show you how to do that during our quick installation overview. Now, as I mentioned before, there's also an Ethernet port that you can use to connect it to your network. Speaking of connectivity, this doorbell supports both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi networks, which is a relief for someone like me that lives in a neighborhood full of different Wi-Fi access points. Now, this only supports up to 802.11.n. It doesn't include things like 802.11c and above. That's not going to matter for most of you. Just make sure you haven't disabled 802.11n on your access point. Now you will have to have a strong Wi-Fi signal because this is going to be on the outside of your house, but so far I haven't ran into any problems. Finally, running at the back of the doorbell is the reset button and the micro SD card slot. My doorbell came with a 64GB micro SD card, but that could have been because it shipped with the pre-order. Now it does actually support up to a 256GB micro SD card for a lot of video storage. As I mentioned before, the ReoLink has onboard person detection, meaning it will scan the scene to see if a person set off the motion detection. This of course reduces your false positives and saves recording space. You can have the doorbell record directly to the SD card only when motion is detected, or you can choose to have it record 24/7. Of course, 24/7 is going to chew through your storage fast, depending on what size SD card you have installed. If you do want to take the option of recording all the time, I suggest connecting it to an NVR. One nice trick this doorbell has is it will record a 6-second pre-roll of the scene before the person's detected, so you get context about what the motion event was. All this, of course, is configurable in the application. On the subject of storage, you have a whole bunch of options. Of course, you can store everything directly on the SD card, but you can also connect it directly to a ReoLink NVR. I have the ReoLink RLN8410 NVR for all of my ReoLink cameras. So I record motion events directly to the SD card and 24/7 recording to the NVR to maximize coverage and convenience. Now, what if you don't have a ReoLink NVR? Well, you're still in luck. The doorbell also supports RTSP and ONVIF. So if you have a third-party NVR or a software-based NVR like Frigate, you can set those up with this doorbell. Plus, there are a number of integrations that we'll look at here in a minute. All right, now quickly let's look at what else comes in the box. For the Wi-Fi model, you also get a chime that connects to another AC outlet. This lets you put this somewhere else inside your house so you can hear when someone's at your door and you don't have your phone nearby. Now this is just a chime, not a Wi-Fi extender like you've seen on other doorbells. I feel like this is a missed opportunity, but I know it keeps the cost down. It also comes with 2 mounting plates for 2 different installation options, a flat and an angled. Of course, you get all the hardware you need to install it. Then we'll see a whole bunch of different options for power cables. Finally, you get some quick start guides and an installation template. Strangely, my quick start guide was mostly about the PoE version, but that's probably because this is a review unit. Not to worry, the application has all the information you need to get this installed. That's a good segue into our next section, setup and installation. Now before you run outdoors and start wiring things in, let's set up the doorbell inside. So the first step, we need to connect the short DC barrel jack cable to the terminals. The order of these don't matter since it's AC. Once that's done, connect your power adapter to the barrel jack and plug it in. Next, we're going to open up the ReoLink app on your phone and press the plus button in the top corner. It's going to prompt us to scan the QR code on the back of the doorbell. Once that's done, continuing following the instructions. It is going to ask you to press the reset button in order to put the doorbell in pairing mode. Once that's done, you're going to go ahead and enter your Wi-Fi information, and then it will generate a QR code for the camera to scan. Hold the doorbell away from your phone and allow it to scan the QR code. Once that's done, the doorbell will attempt to join your network. If this is successful, you will hear the confirmation prompt on the doorbell that it has been successfully connected to your network.
Connection to the router succeeded. Welcome to ReoLink.
Once you've done that, confirm it in the application, then we'll go in and make sure it's actually talking to the system correctly. Then it's going to prompt us to go ahead and add the chime. This is super easy. All you need to do is plug the chime in, and it will automatically add it in and confirm that it's working by pressing the button on the front of the doorbell. Now, one thing to note, there are some buttons along the side of the chime that allow you to customize the volume level and also customize the sound of what comes out of the chime when you press the doorbell button. All right, now that everything's set up, let's go ahead and get it installed outside. So I'm going to be installing my doorbell using the power coming from the doorbell transformer that was already existing in my house. In my home, the mechanical chime and transformer is actually up here on the top of this wall. It's relatively hard to get to unless you have a ladder, so I'll be testing my voltage at the doorbell itself, which is perfectly fine. Just make sure you're not touching the 2 terminals together while power is live. You are going to need a voltmeter or digital multimeter for this step. I'm going to take my old doorbell off the wall, and using the multimeter, I'm going to test the voltage to ensure that I'm getting anywhere between 12 and 24 volts AC at the doorbell button. If this is not the case, you'll need to explore in your chime and transformer to ensure everything is working and connected correctly. Please note, if you have existing smart doorbells, there may be some additional capacitors that you've installed that you'll need to remove. You want to have a direct connection from your transformer to your new doorbell location. So before we actually unwire anything, let's go ahead and turn off the power at our breaker to ensure that we don't have any voltage traveling through these wires while we're working. Next, we're going to completely remove the existing doorbell, bracket and all, and leave the wiring exposed. Next, you'll need to choose whether or not you're going to be using the corner bracket. If you are, go ahead and install that using the template now. If you want to mount the doorbell at an angle, you're going to need to use both the corner bracket and the flat bracket together. If not, attach the flat plate directly to the wall. Again, you make sure you have all the wires pulled through the necessary holes. If needed, you can connect the extension wire. Once the wiring is finished, we'll go ahead and connect the terminals to the back of the doorbell and snap the doorbell into place, making sure that we don't pinch any wires while doing this. We'll go back and turn on our breaker and verify everything looks good in the application. If you do see the doorbell showing up in your application while installed outside, everything's good to go, and we can go ahead and jump into the application. If you do run into problems here, make sure that the doorbell is actually connecting to the Wi-Fi. You may be too far away from your Wi-Fi access point. In that case, you'll either need to move your access point to a new location or invest in a repeater. Now that everything has been installed and is working fine, let's go ahead and jump into the ReoLink application and take a quick tour of the features available for this doorbell. All right, quickly, let's get you ran through the application. I know this section can be a little bit dry because we're going through all the features in the app, but hopefully you'll pick up a few things you didn't realize that you can do in the ReoLink application. So first thing we're gonna do is go ahead and grab the app. If we click on the image itself, it's gonna go ahead and open up the camera preview. In here, of course, you can pause, you can mute or unmute so you can listen to what's going on outside. You can take a snapshot. You can also go ahead and start recording a video that will be stored directly on your phone. One thing to note, the little image right here, that is your selector on what type of resolution that you're going to get on your output. So if you have this set to fluent, which is the lowest quality, you're not going to get an HD output on your saved video. So if you want to grab a high resolution image here, make sure you have it set to clear, which is the maximum quality. And then next to it will automatically rotate the screen 90 degrees if you want to go full screen. Now, one feature I'm starting to see appear more and more on these video doorbells is a quick reply option. So if you're tied up in a meeting and you can't respond to somebody, you can set some default quick actions that will automatically be spoken out using the doorbell speaker. If we click on the quick reply button, it's got a few pre-recorded items here. You can also click the gear icon and then click the plus at the top corner to record your own up to 10 seconds. Give it a custom name, and then when somebody comes to the doorbell, you can just go ahead and send the message without having to actually speak. You can also set it to automatically reply. So if somebody rings the doorbell and you don't answer within 15 seconds or 30 seconds, it'll automatically send a reply, which is pretty cool. Then at the bottom, we have the button that we can click to go ahead and have a two-way conversation with somebody on the other end. And then we can click the playback button to view all of our stored video. And the stored video is on a timeline. And this allows you to scroll back and forth. And then if you click at the bottom here, it gives you the option of filtering out certain events. So here I can filter out and only show motion events, person events, or visitor events. At the top corner here, we also have the option to activate the siren. If we click the gear icon, this will take us into the settings. So at the top, we have our default options for the doorbell itself. So if we click that, it allows us to get all the information about our doorbell, including changing the name here. You can also view the network information if you're looking for the IP address, which is important for here in the next step. You can check all of the firmware versions and upgrade the firmware in the screen. Below that, we have the network option where you can change which Wi-Fi it connects to. We have the display options, which allow us to tweak the different video settings for our output from the camera. You can flip the video, adjust the default quality, change the flicker rate, adjust the brightness if it happens to be too dark, which I had to do on mine. And you can change whether or not there's a watermark and where it's located. Under audio settings, you can tell whether or not you want it to record audio. You can change your quick reply options. You can also change options for the chime. And under light, you can turn on or off the infrared LEDs or change whether or not the LED ring around the button lights or doesn't light. In the detection alarm, we can change where motion is detected by setting a zone. We can also change the sensitivity and object size for the motion and person detection. You can select below that whether or not you're going to record on the camera, which I don't know why you'd want to disable that. You can turn on and off and customize your push notifications about a visitor or, say, person motion. You can have this in a schedule so that it only gives you notifications during certain times of the day. You can also set whether or not you want email alerts turned on using your own custom server. You can also set FTP options. So under FTP settings, you can actually define an FTP server where if you wanted to offload the video footage or motion footage directly to an FTP server that you run, you have that option in here. And you can also turn on a siren, which when there's motion detected, it'll automatically deploy the siren, but it would kind of defeat the purpose of a doorbell if you scared people off, unless you just don't want anybody coming to your front door. Then below that, we have the option to go back through the setup again, so you can watch the installation instructions. You can share the camera with another account. There's also a really cool feature that's on some of these cameras that allows you to set up a time lapse. It gives you different preset options to go ahead and set up for like a sunrise or motion. So for example, if you wanted to capture moving clouds, you could set a time period where the clouds are moving and it gives you a suggestion on the interval. It'll automatically set up a sunrise or sunset. It'll automatically set up a sunrise or sunset time lapse, or you can make a custom one. So this is a fun, neat feature that I haven't seen on any other camera. And then under advanced, we can set more users, change your password, or set the time and date, or reboot the camera if you need to do that. All right, so there's all the options in the ReoLink application. So for this last section, let's quickly go over to the computer and we'll take a look at what integrations are available for this doorbell. All right, so for the first integration I mentioned before was the NVR, and I'll probably go into that more details on my next ReoLink video because you actually have to go down to the physical NVR, connect a keyboard and a mouse and a monitor, and go through there to set up the devices on there. It's not done through the application like it is on some other ones. So we'll say that for another video, but that is an option. You can set it up on the NVR. The second integration we're going to talk about is actually with other devices. So say you have a third-party NVR you want to use, or if you want to use it with something like Blue Iris, then you're going to need to set up the additional integrations. The nice thing about the ReoLinks is they come already with ONVIF and RTSP enabled. So if you wanted to enable RTMP or enable or disable any of those other ones, we'll need to jump into the PC or Mac client to make these changes. So here we are, I've got the doorbell pulled up. If I click on the gear icon here, it's going to take me into the settings. And then I'm going to go down to network and it shows me the IP information. I click advanced, scroll down. This is where you can enable things like UPnP and dynamic DNS, but we're going to go down here to port settings. Now you'll see here, it's got all the different ports that you can change if for some reason they conflict with something that you're already using. You can enable RTMP, you can enable HTTP. Right now it's got HTTPS enabled, so if I hit that IP address with HTTPS, I can go into the web version of the interface. And then it's got RTSP on port 554 or ONVIF on port 8000. So you can customize these ports or enable or disable to your heart's content. So you can go in and use these on another application, just set it up by following their instructions. For the next integrations, let's talk about using one of your smart assistants. So this is compatible with both Google Assistant and the Amazon one. I won't say it so it won't trigger them for you, but I'm gonna show you quickly how to set it up with Google Assistant. Now, you actually have to start this process in the ReoLink app. So I've got the ReoLink app pulled up right here. So when we're in the ReoLink app, we're gonna scroll to the top and we're gonna click the Cloud tab. At the bottom here, you see an option for Smart Home. So this is gonna show you all of your ReoLink devices that are compatible with the smart assistants. So we're gonna go ahead and click on the video doorbell. Yours might look a little bit different because I've already done mine once before. You may have to enable some extra permissions, but once this has been bound to the account, then you can go back into your Google Home account and add it from there. So we're gonna go to Google Home. We're gonna go into our settings and click Setup Device. This will be It Works with Google because that's not an actual Google device. And if we click the search icon in the top corner, we can search for ReoLink. So next we'll hit Continue. And if you haven't already signed into the browser on your phone, it's gonna ask you to sign into your ReoLink account and set up the integration from here. So since I've already done that, I just need to click Allow. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom of my list, I'll get to all the unset up items and then I can find the doorbell in here. And by clicking on it, you can confirm it's actually the ReoLink one. Now, you cannot interact through the Google Assistant app on your phone to watch the stream. You have to use a Google device like a Nest Hub or a Chromecast. So some people get confused about that. You are not able to stream video from those to your phone. You have to use the native apps for that. Make sure you add it to your home if you have other users in your home for Google, because they won't be able to access it without you adding it to the home. Now you can do things like ask your Google Assistant to play the front doorbell on a screen or display and stream it from there. All right, so for our final and what I think is the best integration will be Home Assistant. So I've already set up my Home Assistant integration with my ReoLink device. And if we see here, one of the nice things about the Home Assistant integration, it is now native to Home Assistant. So no additional plugins or anything else you need to add in. As of 2023.1, it is natively supported under Home Assistant. So all you need to do is go into your integrations page and add the ReoLink integration. It's gonna ask you for the username, password, and the IP address. If we see here, I've got a few options. We've got a motion sensor. So this would be the general motion. If there's motion detected at all in the scene, not person detection, it would set this one off. So you expect this one to be a lot busier than the person detection. Then we've got person detection, which of course is only gonna show when there's a person in the frame. And right here we can see when they've been turned on or off. So when it turns on, then a person's been detected. And then we've got the camera stream, which I can view right here as the live stream from the front camera. And the visitor binary sensor, this would be what happens if somebody rings the doorbell. So this is great for setting off an automation. When somebody presses the doorbell, it does something else throughout your house. And then finally at the bottom, it'll show you if there's a firmware update available, which is pretty nice. So from here, you can set up whatever your imagination comes up with as far as automations for your smart home. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's take a look at the final thoughts that I have about this video doorbell. Now this doorbell is priced at a competitive $99, which is higher than your entry-level doorbells, but lower than the offerings from Nest and the Ring Pro line. It has all the features that I'm looking for in a doorbell and allows for local operation. Now I've successfully integrated my doorbell with Home Assistant. Now, when the doorbell detects a human at the front door, it turns on all the front lights. I also have it combined with the visitor sensor, which is triggered when somebody rings the doorbell. This tells the Google Assistant SDK integration to send a broadcast around the house. Now, if you missed that integration, I've got a whole video on it right up here. Additionally, I can record motion events to the camera itself and 24/7 recording to my NVR. In the next few weeks, I plan to experiment with some machine learning by piping the images and video over to an application such as Frigate. This will allow me to receive notifications when the bus arrives to pick up or drop off my kids, amongst other things. So for $99, it seems like an easy choice. Plus, there's no cloud subscription needed. Now, which of the two versions should you get? If you have the capability to run an Ethernet connection to your front door and have power over Ethernet switches already, then of course you should go with the PoE version. Having it hardwired in gives you guaranteed signal and you don't have any Wi-Fi drop issues. Of course, if you're like me and you don't have access to the wall behind your door, then go with the Wi-Fi version. Of course, having existing doorbell wiring there makes things super convenient. But even if you don't, ReoLink does provide you with almost everything you need to connect it to an outdoor power outlet. So if you're in the market to set up your first video doorbell or you want to upgrade an existing older doorbell, then you can check out the links I have in the description below. As of the release of this video, they're back in stock with the Wi-Fi version, so go ahead and check them out. Again, I want to thank ReoLink for sending over the doorbell and the NVR for me to take a look at. I have another ReoLink camera in the hardware pile to take a look at here in a few weeks. I'm planning on going deeper into the Home Assistant integration and NVR setup. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to get to them in the next video. So thank you for making it this far in the video. If you like what you saw with the doorbell and are in the market for a truly unique local camera with an extremely wide field of view, then check out this video right here. If you'd like to peruse my other camera videos, I've got a whole playlist down here. And as always, make sure you subscribe for more reviews, overviews, projects, and more by clicking right here. Thank you again, and I'll see you on the next video.